What's going on, guys? Welcome to Comic Island. My name is Joey and this is a very late video. So I had originally created this video months ago, but then I got caught up with moving and rental jobs and just every single day life. But that's enough out of me. Let's get into my top 10 replacement superheroes list. So as the name states, this video is going to count down some of the characters as either left their superhero name behind and a new hero came up to take up the mantle, or a superhero went MIA and a new superhero rose up to fill the void. So without further ado, I present to you Comic Island's top 10 superhero replacements. Terry McGinnis, the Batman from the future, is blasted to the past with a mission from his mentor to stop the villainous artificial intelligence Brother Eye from its ascension into power. But Terry missed his mark and arrived 5 years too late, and the AI is well rooted and is on its way to taking over the world. Terry allies himself with the modern day heroes such as Bruce Wayne, Tim Drake the Third Robin, and a woman named Plastique whom he falls in love with. But ultimately, at the end, after a battle with the Joker Batman Borg, Terry falls to his injuries and dies in Plastique's arm. Tim Drake, after the fall of his Teen Titans, hid from the world of heroes and villains, but because of Terry's heroic sacrifice, the ex-Robin picks up where McGinnis left off. Tim manages to travel back 5 years and convince a juvenile Brother Eye to self-destruct, but then Tim gets launched back into the far future and finds that Brother Eye still took over the world. Yep, ladies and gentlemen, this is how Future's End ended. Anyway, continuing on, after the Convergence event, Tim Drake would find himself in Terry's future timeline, but with minor changes due to the ripple effect that Terry caused by his time traveling. Goddamn time travel. Tim would arrive in Neo Gotham, the only safe haven left on Earth because, well, Brother Eye killed or converted everyone else. Tim's equipment and AI would eventually betray him, forcing the ex-Red Robin to find the Batcave and select a new Batsuit dubbed the... Wait. The Jim Gordon Bunny Ear mech suit? God damn it, I give up. This is too painful. Let's get into the next hero replacement. James Howlett, aka Logan, aka Weapon X, aka the Wolverine, has been a Marvel icon since the 1970s, but every hero must face death at least once. He is the prominent member of the X-Men and the Avengers and led his own Black Ops division of the X-Men known as the Uncanny X-Force, while Logan would meet his end when he faced off against individuals from his past during his time with the Weapon X program. With the loss of his healing factor, Logan was subjected to being covered with extremely hot liquid adamantium. This would be the death of Wolverine. His closest associates such as Daken, X-23, Sabretooth, Lady Deathstrike, and Mystique would find themselves tangled in his legacy, but the one person would rise up to the occasion to fill the empty void left by Logan. X-23, aka Laura Kinney, had been an ally and student of Logan for years. Some have even said that Laura was kept in his shadows, but after her mentor's death, and with the X-Men's blessing, X-23 would be no more and the all-new Wolverine would rise. But taking on the Wolverine mantle would mean that Laura will also be taking on his enemies, those who felt deprived of the pleasure to kill the Wolverine for themselves. And man, does Logan have a long list of enemies. The epic story of a mild-mannered scientist being transformed into a rampaging mindless monster has been told many times. Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk, have other supporting characters replacing him in the past. Amongst those are the Red Hulk, Grey Hulk, at that time we saw Compound Hulk. But when Secret Wars end, 8 months will pass and Bruce Banner will fade into the background and a new Hulk will rise out of the ashes. Following the footsteps of Sam Wilson and Jane Foster, Amadis Cho, a 98-pound Korean-American teenage genius, has recently been revealed to be the all-new Totally Awesome Hulk. For Banner, it was a mountain of burden, a curse that he had to live with. He harmed those around him, and he brought fears to his loved ones. But for Cho, the burden will feel light as a feather. It is not clear as to how Amadis Cho got his Hulk powers, but all will be revealed in the pages of the Totally Awesome Hulk. You will discover what happened to Bruce Banner in the 8-month gap after Secret Wars end and how the little sidekick genius got his totally awesome powers. For those who aren't familiar with Amadis Cho, he is a supporting character or a sidekick to the Hulk and Hercules. This little teenage kid possesses a super genius mind and is said to be one of the top 10 most intelligent individuals in the world. He found himself a member of the Illuminati before Secret Wars, but 8 months later, he will not be burdened but be gifted with the powers of the Green Machine and headline his own comic series in the Totally Awesome Hulk. After a fusion of alien Kree and human genes, Carol Danvers, the head of security for NASA, began to display superhuman abilities such as flight, super strength, agility, and reflexes, and will be known as the superhero Ms. Marvel. She would prove to be a valuable member of the Avengers following the Scarlet Witch's absence, and would work closely with Charles Xavier's team of mutants even though the X-Men rogue had stolen her powers and left her for dead. Through all this, Carol continues to fight for what she believed to be right, and would side with Tony Stark and his support for the Superhero Registration Act. But during a time when the unstable-minded Scarlet Witch warped reality and created a timeline where mutants held dominion over humans, Carol Danvers would get a taste of fame in the form of her title as Captain Marvel, but this was short-lived when reality reset itself. In 2012, Danvers would leave her haircut and codename of Miss Marvel behind and take on the name of Captain Marvel with a brand new haircut. Kamala Khan was just a normal girl living in Jersey City, but after leaving a party late at night, Khan walked home angered by her classmates at the party. Elsewhere, Black Bolt, the Inhuman King, activated a Terrigen bomb which engulfed the whole world. As her Terrigenesis began, due to her dormant Inhuman genes, Kamala had visions of Carol Danvers, her hero, chastising her for disobeying her parents. When asked what she wanted in life, Kamala replies, "I want to be you." Kamala would break out of her Terrigen cocoon wearing Miss Marvel's costume and literally transformed into her idol as part of her subconscious desire. Even though she doesn't have her idol's power sets, Kamala follows Captain Marvel's footsteps to making the world a better place with her own power set, which consists of stretching, deforming, expanding, and compressing her body whenever the occasion calls for it. Her accelerated healing factor also comes in handy when fighting crime alongside heroes such as SpiderMan and Wolverine. Captain America, aka Steve Rogers, is armed with a super soldier serum enhanced physique, indestructible shield, and a genius tactical mind. But at his core, Steve is still human. After being emotionally scarred by the loss of his foster son Ian and his girlfriend Sharon, Cap's unstable mind was exploited by ex-SHIELD agent Ran Shan, aka the Iron Nail. He used Rogers' disillusionment to fill a scheme to crush his old employer, S.H.I.E.L.D. But this is the American icon that he's facing. Steve Rogers stood up and crushed the Iron Nail scheme, but not before the villain robbed him of his super soldier serum that kept him young and physically powerful after all these years. Now, Steve Rogers is the husk of his former self, a man who finally looked his age. One of Rogers' pals would take over the mantle and nope, it's not Bucky. He had his turn. This time Sam Wilson, the Falcon, would rise to the occasion and take on the role. This modern day man didn't grow up in the 1930s, but he still shares the same ideology as his predecessor. Steve Rogers, unable to wield the shield, continues to be a part of the team. Once an Avenger, always an Avenger. But now, with liberty and equality personified in a shield, Sam Wilson is chosen to be the all-new Captain America. In an alternate universe, Peter Parker, aka SpiderMan, continues his heroic battle against Norman Osborn and the Sinister Six. Unfortunately, he isn't at full strength. With the help of the Human Torch and Iceman, Peter Parker continues the good fight even with a bullet wound. But this time, the combined efforts of the Sinister Six pushed Parker too far. Parker stands victorious as always, but he dies to his wounds in the arms of his loved ones. A new spider-themed hero would pick up the mantle to honor his fallen friend. Miles Morales was also bitten by a radioactive arachnia and began fighting crime under the same costume as his predecessor, but later, he would come to his own man and dons the black and red. As the new Spider-Man, Miles continues the good fight as he joins other heroes to continue Parker's legacy. He would even meet the main 616 Parker again along with a lot of other spider heroes. Dr. Henry Hank Pym is the first among many to don the moniker Ant-Man. During his early years, Hank Pym's scientific curiosity led him to the discovery of a subatomic particle that would allow him to shrink in size. Dubbing it the Pym particle, Hank would test it on himself, which allows him to shrink in size. During an early stage of experimentation, Pym was shrunken and trapped in an anthill, which he eventually escapes from. His fascinations with the small bugs would lead him to developing a helmet which allows him to control the ants. Taking on the name Ant-Man, Pym, along with his love, the Wasp, Iron Man, and Thor would be the founding members of the Avengers. Soon after, Pym would abandon the name Ant-Man and use his particles to grow instead of shrink. He would be known as Giant Man, Yellow Jacket, and Goliath, and even the Wasp after the Skrull invasion, which resulted in the death of his wife Janet, the original Wasp. Pym would occasionally use his old alias when the occasion calls for it, but his replacement, Scott Lang, would proudly carry on the Ant-Man name. A desperate man who stole the suit to help his dying daughter, Scott was prepared to return the suit and turn himself in, but Hank observed the entire thing. Deeming Scott to be not a criminal, Hank, now going by the alias Yellow Jacket, passed on the torch of the Ant-Man moniker to Scott Lang as long as Lang used it for lawful purposes. And so he did. Lang turned his life around and become a respectable hero figure. He was even offered a coveted membership within the Avengers and was handpicked by Nick Fury to be his replacement as a man on the wall, the protector of Earth. But at the end of the day, all Scott ever wanted was to be a good father. There have been a few more individuals who took up the name Ant-Man, such as Eric O'Grady and Chris McCarthy, but that's a story for another day. There have been many figures who took up the Bat Cowl during Bruce Wayne's absence. Dick Grayson would probably take the list, but let's talk about something new and exciting. This is how Batman fell, and an all-new Batman will rise. After another grueling and epic battle with one of his greatest foe, the Joker, Batman is presumed dead, and Bruce Wayne emerged with only fragments of his memories. He can remember his past and who he was, but Bruce has no recollection of his time as Batman. His training, gone. The sense of vengeance, gone. Batman died and Bruce Wayne came back. 3 months later, and the Powers Company begins to train Gotham's best officers to become the new Batman, but these rookies cannot beat the Dark Knight. Jim Gordon knows the city better than anyone else, and at the end of the day, Batman was just a man who loved the city. Gordon refuses the job, but after a talk with Harvey Bullock, he agrees to take on this role. Gordon's new uniform will be a mech suit with bunny ears, which is made out of nanocarbon. The armor towers over his predecessor's hide, but this armor will protect him and allow Gordon to stay in constant communication with his HQ. This will be a very new and different Batman. He will not be policed but will work with them and the government. There are other perks as well, such as being on payroll, working with cool tech, a support staff that came highly recommended by Lucius Fox, and oh yeah, the Bat Truck, which serves as a mobile Bat Cave. A founding member of the Justice League, Barry Allen gains his power by a lightning accident. Empowered by the Speed Force, Barry takes on the name The Flash after his favorite comic book superhero, Jay Garrick. Barry would face many ups and downs during his time as a hero. One such sadness would be the death of his wife Iris, but after discovering that his wife is indeed alive and well in the future, Allen retires in the 31st century. But his story does not end there. The Anti-Monitor would kidnap the Scarlet Speedster and brings them back to present day. This would be the Anti-God's downfall as Barry eventually escapes and sacrifices his life to take down the villain. Barry dies and his soul now rests with the Speed Force, an extra-dimensional energy source where most speedsters gains their powers from. Wally West, the Kid Flash, will be devastated after the loss of his hero and mentor, but there must always be a Flash. Wally stepped up and filled Barry's shoes and graduates from the Teen Titans to joining Barry's team, the Justice League. Taking on the mantle of the Flash, Wally would face off against many of Barry's old foes such as the Black Flash, Professor Zoom, and even the Rogues. During the events of Final Crisis, 23 years after his mentor's death, a rip in time and space opens up and Barry Allen would rejoin the land of the living. Together, they would take on Darkseid himself as the two Flashes lure the Black Racer straight through the Dark God's body. Other such heroes have taken on the Flash's name such as Bart Allen and Jay Garrick, but as you guys may know, this is a story for another day. During the original Sin story arc, the Avengers faced off against Nick Fury Sr. and his multiple life model decoys. Fury knew what buttons to press and the right things to do to immobilize his former friends. He takes out Iron Man and Captain America with ease, but when the Son of Odin arrives, Fury had to employ a new tactic. By whispering something into Thor's ear, Fury causes the Thunder God to lose his sense of virtue and merit. Mjolnir falls to the moon and the Odinson has lost his worthiness. What did Fury say? Anyways, continuing on. Days turn to weeks and weeks turn to months, and the Thunder God would only leave his hammer's side for Avengers missions, but he would always return to his friend and the weapon of the gods. But one day, a mysterious woman picks up Mjolnir and a new Thor is born. She battled frost giants, a dark elf king, trolls, the Destroyer, and even the Odinson himself. Through her endeavors and her hero's heart, this new goddess of thunder proves her merit, and the Odinson passes on the torch and gave his name to her. Wait? He gave his name to, what do we call him now? Odinson? The son of Odin? Well, that's just weird. Anyway, continuing on. It is revealed that one of the Odinson's previous love, Jane Foster, has taken on the mantle. Not for any selfish reason, but because this world needs a Thor. Even if this new role is killing her. Now don't feel too bad for the unworthy Thor. He got his arm chopped off by the Dark Elf and replaced by an arm made out of pure Uru, the same substance that makes up Mjolnir. Yeah, that's just too OP. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for watching my top 10 superhero replacements. Obviously, I left out a ton of superheroes taking up their predecessor's last name, so why don't you help me list them out in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time in another Comic Island Top 10 video.